Everyone, my name is Brandon. Today I'm going to go over 3 things you can start doing and implementing into your sparring and martial arts training to drastically improve your boxing defense. Here we go. So originally my boxing defense used to be terrible. I come from a very traditional kicking background, a kicking based style, Mudokwan Tang Sudo. It's kind of like Taekwondo. So I didn't work a whole lot of hands. I didn't work a whole lot of boxing defense. But through training and doing different styles, these are the 3 things that I started implementing which have drastically improved my boxing defense. So here we go. The first one is to make yourself a moving target, right? And by that, I mean specifically moving your head. And remember, head movement is body movement. So don't move your head without moving your feet, but you want to continuously move your body. And it seems obvious, when you fight, you want to be, moving around. That's like what you do when you fight. But you will not imagine, and anyone who has done some style of striking martial arts would probably agree with me, you would not imagine how many times that you sit there while you fight because you are so caught up in trying to strike and hit that you forget that you got to move yourself so you don't get hit. So the first tip would to always be staying active, always have your head moving, even when you're not throwing your strikes and you're just kind of staying there, maybe gauging distance. You want to be moving, turning your shoulders, getting your head off the center line to make yourself harder to hit. So that is the first tip that I have, and as soon as I started doing that, I started getting hit less in the face. So always a good thing. Tip number 2, and this was absolutely crucial for me. This was probably one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing that helped me improve my boxing defense. And let me be clear real quick. When I talk about boxing defense, I'm not specifically talking about blocking and parrying. Typically, when you hear boxing defense, that's the thing that most people think of. Oh, how can I block punches better? But boxing defense is anything from moving and dodging so you don't get hit, parrying, like I said, hitting the person first before you can get hit. All of that is tied into boxing defense. So that being said, my second tip, and what I think probably my most helpful thing, is moving your head off the line when you throw punches. My style that I did when I did martial arts, we talked about turning over on punches, getting full extensions, things like that, but never specifically talking about moving your head off the center line when you're throwing your technique. So let me explain, and I'll demonstrate what it looks like. So originally, if I was going to throw a jab punch hook, right, that's what I was going to throw. It would look something like this. I'd probably throw my jab, my cross, and then my hook, right? So I'm turning over on my punches, all that's good, except my head is staying basically in the same spot. As soon as I went from doing that to doing something more like this, where I'm moving my head side to side, zigzagging, while I'm throwing my punches, so it's more of a ba, 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 opposed to here, defense and not getting hit was so much better. It was so much better. And this ties back into the tip 1 where you need to be a moving target. It's much harder to hit something that's constantly moving than it is if it's stationary. The second thing is when you're throwing your techniques, you're opening yourself up to being hit. That's how fighting works. If you want to go and hit someone, you're going to be in a position where you can also get hit. So the goal is to hit the other person without getting hit. So if you can hit while moving your body off to the side, or you can strike while maybe slipping punches and just doing it naturally because you're used to moving your head and zigzagging your head while you're throwing your punches, makes a world of a difference. And last but not least, the third thing that helped me with my boxing defense, I couldn't make a boxing defense video if I didn't actually talk about how to, parry better and whatnot. The last thing is where you look. So typically when I fight, and let me ask you this question. When you're fighting a person, where do you typically look? You probably said somewhere around the face, somewhere like that, unless, you might have a little higher IQ in fighting, or you've been doing it a little longer. And then you probably said something like the chest or the shoulder area region. Because I used to do the same thing. I used to always look into the face of the person, and that's where I'm going to, throw my strikes. I'm kind of looking at them. As soon as I went from looking at their face to looking at their shoulders, defense and being able to see what is coming so I can parry it, so I can cover and block and not get hit, became much easier. I know some people who also look at the hands. I did that and I got hit a lot because by the time I recognized that the fist was coming towards my face, my brain could not get my hand to block it in time and I would eat the punch. But when you look at the chest area, the shoulder, you can see all the tiny movements that happen before they throw the punch. Maybe they turn into it, they can kind of telegraph it. Also, no one's going to be able to punch without like moving their shoulder. Like you can't do it. Your shoulder's going to move. So if you look at the place where the punch is starting from, much easier to see how it's coming, if it's like a hook or if it's straight, and where it's going to. So you face your body and you can properly defend it. So looking at the chest area. There you go. There are my 3 tips. Hope you like them. Like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. See you later.